Hi folks, this is Samuel Eicher with Eicher Design Build. In this video, we're going to talk about roof penetrations. We're looking at dormers, plumbing stacks, skylights, anything like that that's coming out of the roof, and how to figure all that in to make so everything works the best, because that's the important key, is knowing so that when you have your panels going up, that your trim, your pipe boots, everything lays properly so you have the tightest roof possible. You want to get an idea of, well, what roof penetrations you have, because you don't, the biggest thing is when you roll up, you don't want to end up with a rib on the end or just right there where then you have to, you got everything on and your guys all show up and you want to crank this thing out 2-3 days. Well, nobody took the time to figure out when they were there bidding the job, say, well, this is where everything is. I'm going to need trim here. And if you do need, there might be some instances where you just can't get it by with not having a rib right here. So then you have to do a special trim and get all that made. But when you go out to bid a job, you want to try to have that all sorted out. So when you actually roll up on the job to do it, you're all ready. Because I know beginning off when we first started doing roofing, there'd be times where, I was still trying to figure out how to do everything. And you get, oh, let's just start here, full sheet, just go take off. Get through the other end, it's like, well, didn't think that through, because all of a sudden we have a rib that ended right where it wasn't in and the trim didn't work. And that's why I feel it's critical. It would help you in the long run if you did kind of figure that all out. And you don't have to mark up the roof and everything, but it won't take too long to get some measurements, find out exactly where everything is, and you can pretty easily figure out where everything's going to be. I mean, you got 16 inches of flat, so you got a fair amount of movement that you can do with your panels. So when you roll in, the first thing I do is say, why did I do roofing? No, I'm just kidding. If there's shingles on the roof, I would, me personally, I won't ever put metal on shingles. There's people that will, I won't. I won't even put underlayment down and put metal on that. I'm just not going to do that. I want to go right down to the decking, the roof decking, and then I know what's underneath. If there's any problems underneath, I can see that. You won't have any of the fluctuations going with how shingles are. You'll have, because everything's stepped. When you're done, you shouldn't have any bubbles and stuff in your metal, because while I screwed it here and I got on the low end of the shingle, so now that looks ugly. So we want to make sure shingles are all stripped off, and then we put underlayment on. And I like to use this titanium UDL, PSU. I think affordable, they're looking at trying to get some synthetic underlayment. This stuff I get from Sunrise Post and Frame in Kelowna. They have a PSU ice and water to use. It's a PSU 30 to use in the valleys, and then you got the UDL 30 that I use everywhere else. The 30-year warranty on this. It's a little expensive, but this is about a 912, and you can feel pretty comfortable walking around on this as long as you get your staples. And they got little screws. I just staple this quick here, but you put your cat nails where all they show. And I mean, you don't really have to wear anything higher than a 912. I mean, I'd be harnesses, and me personally, I'm gonna have a lift right at the bottom. So if I do end up sliding, even with the harness on, you're not gonna go to the ground, or you'll be hanging, you'll be falling into a lift. I like to go home at night. Okay. Any questions so far?
What is the difference between the valley, what you shared about the valley, and
What do you mean?
like the valley is sticky?
The valley, PSU. The difference between ice and water and the PSU and the UDL. The PSU is it has a sticky back. So it sticks to the heavy product. And you want to make sure, depends how far your overhang is, you want to be up past, usually I go, if you got a 2-foot or a 16-foot overhang, usually I go about 2 rows. And then anything under 3.5, 12, I'll put ice and water on the whole roof. If you got anything under 3.5, 12, I'll ice and water the whole roof. Just rather spend the extra money be safe. You know, you're not going to pay for it. You're giving the customer something that you're going to feel comfortable with doing, and the customer will have a peace of mind knowing that their roof is going, the bottom side of the metal. And the way I always look at it is, if my roof leaks with my underlayment on it, then I got a problem. So I always try to make sure that when I'm done putting underlayment on, then I can leave it sit for, if I need to leave it sit for a month, I can leave it sit for a month and not worry about any leaks. Then when I come, I just say, I'll come put metal on it to make it look nice. That's how I try to, what I try to do is underlayment, and if your roof leaks, then try to fix that before you put metal on. Otherwise, if you're gonna have, hopefully, if you do everything right, you won't have any water get behind and down on the underlayment, but there may be a little bit of condensation. If there is, you want to make sure that that's not finding a spot and going down into your attic and causing a leak. Any other questions?
I got all the questions. So why do we go like this? Why do we not just cut it right there?
Because if any condensation comes down here, you got a little V here. This I'm not too concerned about because your water's traveling downhill. Now if I had this up and it was cut here or something like that, I'd be a little bit concerned about water coming down, finding that and going down. And I have it like this, so another thing, if you got dormers, I'd recommend taking the siding off and then putting it back on. It's a pain in the butt, but I would do that. It's going to be easier to work to get the trim on there than fighting the siding. And I guess if the siding's impossible to get off, well, I guess you just got yourself a siding job too. Because to get that sealed, the roof to wall transition sealed properly, you almost have to always take the siding off to get that flashing right up against the wall. But it's mainly to keep water. If anything would happen to get behind in here, it can't get through there. Any other questions? Hey, thanks for checking out these videos. Hope what you learned was very valuable for you. If you've got any questions or comments or would like to see something else, please reach out on our email or on our website. Thank you.